Hey guys, it's Emma Vigling with TYT Politics. Breaking news, not really, but it was a report from the Wall Street Journal this morning, and of course Donald Trump has lied to the American people once again, but this time it's really major. If you recall, during our coverage of the election, we talked about how Trump may have been better than Hillary Clinton on two issues. One was war. He was more anti-interventionist, and Hillary Clinton had a history of war hawkishness. And the second was trade. Trump had railed against the TPP and NAFTA, which are two progressive the progressives tend to believe are disastrous for this country, and now Trump, on that second major campaign promise, has basically reneged and has gone back on it in a historic lie to the American people. The Trump administration is signaling to Congress that it would seek mostly modest changes to the North American Free Trade Agreement. By the way, he's called it a disaster and said he was going to scrap the entire thing. Again, the Wall Street Journal reports that he did call it a disaster. According to an administration draft proposal being circulated in Congress by the U.S. Trade Representative's Office, the U.S. would keep some of NAFTA's most controversial provisions, including an arbitration panel that lets investors in 3 nations circumvent local courts to resolve civil claims. Critics of these panels say they impinge on national sovereignty. This is key because, yeah, you could say he was going to revise NAFTA, but one of the worst parts of the TPP was that it had these international tribunals where corporations were essentially on the same footing as nation states. So that allows for just a total abuse of corporate power and putting them on the same playing field as, Uganda, or I don't really know all the nations that are included in the TPP, but as governments, it's obviously problematic. Basically, if ExxonMobil or a certain corporation didn't like a law in Wisconsin, for example, they could sue in these international kind of tribunal courts under the TPP that these proposals were leaked from the Obama administration. So these tribunals where corporations can kind of circumvent state law and national law are some of the things that people had the biggest problem with in the TPP. And Trump says that he's going to basically keep one of the more controversial provisions in NAFTA, which is a leg of that, an arbitration panel. The draft, reviewed by the Wall Street Journal, talks of seeking to improve procedures and resolve disputes rather than eliminating those panels. So, of course, corporations get more power under the Trump administration, which is problematic. Again, we don't want international corporations being as powerful as nation states in terms of the legality in international law and in these international trade agreements. And it also obviously does not involve the UN whatsoever. It just goes around them. The U.S. wouldn't use NAFTA's negotiations to deal with disputes over foreign currency policies or to hit numerical targets for bilateral trade deficits, as some trade hawks have been urging. However, in one far-reaching change, the draft proposal calls for allowing a NAFTA nation to reinstate tariffs in case of a flood of imports that cause serious injury or threat of serious injury to domestic industries. That is obviously extremely vague, so who knows. The document appears to compromise between the desires of trade hawks to use NAFTA renegotiations as a way to set a new trade agenda and moderates, the Wall Street Journal, who back the U.S. traditional commitment to free trade. Congress is split along these lines as well, but honestly, if Trump has a chance of getting really anything through or bungling himself into any success, it's with trade, where there's pretty much bilateral agreement from both Democrats and Republicans on trade. So, look, I don't have high hopes for this being stopped because, look, Trump ran as a populist, and this was his goalpost. This was his what he put in the sand, like anti-TPP, I'm going to bring your jobs back in West Virginia and in the Rust Belt. And they hate these trade agreements. I mean, Jordan and I went all across in our Disappearing Middle Class tour. We went to Ohio, we went to Wisconsin, and we talked to union members who say this would be the TPP would be the nail in the coffin for our industry. So these are the exact jobs that Trump said that he was going to protect and bring back. And he's doing the exact opposite under revising NAFTA, but putting the provisions in that would have been included in the TPP anyway. Listen to this. NAFTA, this is what he said during the election. NAFTA is the worst trade deal maybe ever signed anywhere, but certainly ever signed in this country, he said to Hillary Clinton during a debate. And he also said this about TPP. The Trans-Pacific Partnership is another disaster done and pushed by special interests who want to rape our country, just continue raping of our country. That's what it is. It's a harsh word. It's a rape of our country. So, yeah, I guess under those terms, what are you, Donald Trump, if that's a rape of our country? He's just putting the TPP inside of NAFTA revisions. So look, you know, when Trump is surrounded by Republican sycophants who want to enrich their donors, he's too stupid to realize that this is political suicide for him. His approval rate is a very historic low during the first 100 days of his presidency, at now 35%. He mocked Obama for Obama's low of 39%. Trump hasn't even completed his first 100 days of the presidency and is at 35. So obviously he needs more friends, and this just continues to alienate the base that exactly voted for him. That 35%, I guarantee you, are pretty anti-trade. That is his base. So he's too stupid, he bumbles into everything, and he's caught in between these corporatist Republicans who want trade deals like this, and his populist message, which was a bunch of BS during the election. So he can't really help but just get manipulated, I guess, by the people around him and want to enrich his donors. Look, he's a selfish guy in himself, and he's just a liar. So you can call me naive, but I didn't think he was going to renege on this campaign promise. I honestly didn't. Like, this was his mantra. No TPP, no bad trade deals. You know, this is TPP wrapped in NAFTA. Unbelievable. Alright guys, have a great day.